Brand new report on AI's impact on jobs. For the second month in a row, AI was the leading reason for layoffs. That was in April, according to a research firm. And it comes after Coinbase, the largest U.S. crypto exchange, said this week it was cutting 14% of its workforce, in part to optimize for the AI era. CNN Tech editor Lisa Edechico is here with the latest on this. We're hearing this so often now.
Exactly. And that's why I've been speaking with business consultants to learn more about what's actually happening here. Is AI really capable of taking jobs? Is that really reflecting what's happening in the industry? And the answer is a little bit more nuanced. It's not that AI is swapping out actual individual employees. What's happening is it's taking on bits and pieces of different people's roles throughout an organization. And that's really spread out across an entire business. So it's not really a one-for-one swap. And that's why you hear, when we talk about AI and jobs, you hear a lot of rhetoric around upskilling, around rethinking jobs, around reimagining what a job looks like, because it's not that AI is taking over the entire duty of a specific person. And these companies now are having to think about what does a job look like when it's partially being done by AI and it's partially being done by a person. And the tech industry has really kind of been at the forefront of this shift because AI has gotten really good at coding, and those tools have advanced rapidly over the past year alone. So now you're seeing a lot of software engineering jobs kind of transition into this role where it's less about coding and more about high-level decision making and reviewing code and making judgment calls and looking at the design element of products that are being built. And that's a little bit of what was reflected in the X post from the CEO of Coinbase when he announced the layoffs earlier this week.
It's so interesting.
All right, so let's pause there. There was a lot to process in that. But the key takeaway is that AI is coming for your job. I mean, there's no way around it. Unless you are a doctor, right? A nurse, something that physically interacts with people, there is no job that is safe from AI, right? So the question that we really need to ask ourselves isn't if AI is a threat, because for sure it is. The question is what we're doing now really providing actual value? See, check it. We were raised in the system that I grew up in taught us that if you do work for a company and you work hard, it is a meritocracy and you will be rewarded for investing long-term in a company, which will in return invest long-term in you. And I think we know, obviously, that that's not the case. That's not true. A company is going to do what it's going to do, which means it's going to look out for itself, right? A company's going to look out for itself. They don't care about their employees because this is why they have computers and robots that can do the job faster and better than you can. And it's cheaper to just hire an AI and get those results. Case in point, I was a video editor and a producer for a long time, almost 20 years, right? There were tasks that I had to do that would take me a week. Syncing up audio, finding B-roll for videos, subtitling a video, color correcting. All of that stuff took several people to do. You would coordinate between different departments, and eventually, through the efforts of a team and time, you would get the video product done. And this is what you would see on TV or on whatever the output format is. Now, with AI tools, a lot of the work that all those different people did can be done in like 20 minutes max. That's really pushing it, with a couple of programs or maybe even one program that does most of that work, right? And that's where we are now. Look, for real, AI is coming for your job if you're not doing something physical. So if you're not a doctor or a nurse, carpenter, something that deals with blue collar labor, or a highly specialized thing that again involves physical precision or human to human interaction, your job isn't safe, right? I mean, that's real. And I think if you're a viewer of this channel, you already know I'm going to say the reality is, are you being honest with yourself about the value of your job. You understand what I'm saying? One of the things that got me through my roughest times, right, when I was going through my employment dilemmas or financial dilemmas, is reconfiguring, reorienting my relationship with work and value. What are businesses actually looking at, right? So we grew up in a society that teaches you to, go to school. It's a meritocracy-based system. You go to school, you work hard, you get hired for a company, you work hard for that company. By investing in that company with your time and labor, that company invests in you by giving you long-term employment, growth, and then ideally some kind of exit respectfully that allows you to live the later part of your life with dignity because it took care of you because you took care of it. That whole system is done, right? Nobody cares about that system. The new reality is that a corporation, and it probably should have been how we've always looked at businesses and our relationship with employment. A company is going to hire you to do a thing. You are a cog in a machine. You keep the machine going to produce an output that makes that company money. That's it. The minute that cog breaks, or the minute that they can find a way to do that process with a faster machine, with less cogs, that's cheaper and more efficient, out of there with that other machine. That's it. It's not personal. It shouldn't be personal. It took me a while to understand that, but it shouldn't be personal, right? There's probably an argument that some people might have about the responsibility of a business investing in the people of the community around it. And that's a different conversation for sure. But for the most part, when you look at it coldly about what a business does and what it needs people to keep the operation going. So if you're honest with yourself and you look at the work that you're doing, whatever it is, I don't know what your profession is. I know when I was an editor, most of my time, government workers, whoever, was probably spent doing busy work. You feel me? Like if you're a construction worker putting together a building, most of your time is not relaxing. You're doing hard labor, right? There's relaxation time, certainly, but if you're a plumber or an electrician, you're not lounging around. You're actually getting paid by the hour. And during that hour, you're doing the work, right? But when you're paper pushing or doing the types of jobs, middle management, desk jobs that really, frankly, the past 50 years of this country has been built upon, the whole pipeline of school to college to work to retirement that we've been built on, and you're spending all that money on for your degrees, that's kind of done. And the companies that we've been trying to work for benefited from that system. But most of us are asked out. That's the reality, because we weren't, you know what I'm saying? We weren't really prepared for that kind of system. So now the question is, what are you going to do about it? Right? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to run from AI? Are you going to prepare by getting better at AI? One of the conversations I saw, well, I'm going to link you guys to the Diary of a CEO video I was watching. But he talks about this. I mean, I hear this in guru circles and business circles all the time. You're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by people who know how to use AI. Whatever. I mean, that makes sense, but that doesn't change the fact that if a task took 5 people to do effectively, and now you have a machine, a program that does it, and you need one person properly communicating with the program, and that program can produce at scale, so that program isn't limited by the amount of output it has, then at that point, yeah, very literally, AI is killing the jobs of 4 people, right? So when you hear that refrain about how AI You shouldn't be worried about AI. It's going to be great for people who learn how to use AI, kind of, but that doesn't physically change the fact that it's displacing a lot of people. Even if it does create jobs, it's creating fewer jobs than the amount that it's displacing. Check this out. Let's talk about, this guy had a really good take on, an interesting take on AI. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. But where I see job destruction in my world is that I used to, anytime I got an agreement from anybody, an advertiser for a contract, an employment agreement, whatever it is, I'd send it to my lawyer and say, can you review this? And because the bills, there's latency in the bills, it probably costs somewhere between $400 and $2,000 to review every contract, right? Because I'm a narcissist and I think I signaled by having a name brand law firm. And so they hire some kid at 120 or 80 to 120 bucks an hour and they charge me 400 to 500, right? Now I say to the person in charge of that project, and they say, well, I'm sending the contract review to our lawyer. I'm like, no. Put the agreement, describe what we're looking for, ask Claude or ChatGPT to pretend it's a $1,200 lawyer, an hour lawyer, employment lawyer or contract lawyer, and ask them to review this document, redline it, and do the same thing at another LLM. And then you make those changes. Congratulations, you are now a senior associate at a law firm.
That's what I'm talking about. So again, if you listen closely to what that guy was saying, it's not replacing all lawyers. That's ridiculous. There are some things that a lawyer needs to do in person. Trial lawyers probably aren't getting replaced anytime soon. But people that need to understand documentation or the minute references or paperwork or researching that needs to be done in order to support a case, that's something that AI will take over. So research assistants, attorneys in training, that sort of thing, right? That's the problem. Is that a bad thing though? That's what I'm saying earlier. Most of the work that we do is probably busy work, pushing papers, referencing something that someone did in the past so it can be recalled again. That's probably what most people do and what most of us get paid for. And that's probably the problem. The real question isn't, is AI going to replace work? The real question is the work that we're doing actually valuable to society, to anything, to making profit? Let's keep going.
I probably spend $100,000 to $300,000 a year on legal fees across my organization. I think I'll cut that easily by a third this year. So that's one way I see it. But I have a podcast company, not nearly the industrial behemoth this thing is, but I keep asking everybody, how do we use AI to do this? And I find that they're getting better at it and it enhances our work, but we're still hiring. Again, I think it's a supplement. And if you want to protect against AI, it's pretty easy. I've said this for a while. AI is not going to take your job. Someone who understands AI is going to take your job. So what I tell people is have a second screen.
It's not true. It will take your job. You just need to be aware of where you are in the food chain.
And that is always have a second screen open that has nothing but AI on it, LLMs. And anything you get digitally, port it into your AI screen and start playing with it.
Do you know that quote's so interesting? Because I've heard that quote a lot, that AI won't take your job. Someone that understands AI will take your job. Right. And as you said it then, I thought, I was thinking about different roles in my team and my open roles that we haven't hired for. And I thought, someone with AI will take your job, but they won't just take one job. They'll take 5 of those jobs. And so if you think about an analyst, right? We've got Molly downstairs, analyst for my investment fund. We were well intent on hiring maybe 5 analysts for my second fund. We only need Molly now because Molly's got 2 agents that she works with and two Mac Minis. And she's got a setup that screens the inbound interest and also goes proactively into the market looking for new opportunities and pulls them back into her, runs them through a framework, scores them, prepares them for the IC. So Molly, enabled by AI, she's probably taken out 5 jobs. And this is, I think, even with the law example, that lawyer that's using these models probably doesn't need to have 5 junior lawyers now if they're really, really competent with AI. And if you think about an executive assistant, so with executive assistants, we might, for our executives, would have hired probably 10 EAs in total. Now you really need one that is powered by AI to do all the travel, one that does all of the scheduling, and then one that meets people at the door. So you need 3 versus potentially 10. And this is kind of what I'm broadly seeing. in most roles, but not all of them. There are still some roles. When I looked at the org chart where I go, oh, actually, this sales, a lot of the sales we do from a media perspective are take someone for lunch, wine and dine, call them, relationships, pitch the deck. Those kinds of things seem to be completely untouched.
But let's continue down that path. You no longer need 5 mollies, you need 1.
Yeah.
That creates additional EBITDA and margin,
Yeah.
creates a more profitable Diary of a CEO empire, means you can raise more money, and then you go buy more podcasts or invest in them who hire more people.
True.
So, and it creates a faster cycle of money and new ideas. And when we were walking in here, you're talking about acquiring podcasting, and you're getting into CPG, and you're getting into different forms of media, and you're driving growth and innovation. Will some people be on the wrong end of it? My mom was a secretary.
Yeah, so they're going into the weeds, but did you check out the jobs that were protected? Like, notice, and I don't want you guys to gloss over that. Notice he said that the person that still has to do the connection, the schmoozing, the talking to people, the social interaction, those jobs are protected, right? That's the key. AI is scary if you're used to the mundane work that you normally do. For sure, AI is scary. I'm not saying that it's going to create 8,000 tons of new jobs. It's not, right? So those are real questions. Those are real implications. The problem is that the way we're using AI is as a replacement for labor, for how people think. That's a distinctly American problem. And America is at the forefront, pretty much, of AI. But that's not how everyone's approaching it. Let's look at how China is approaching AI. And here's the key. Let's talk about that, because that's the thing. A lot of these AI videos and a lot of these people, Sam Altman and all these other people will tell you, oh, we have to do it this way. We have to stay ahead of the AI race, because if we don't do it, as scary as it sounds, some other country is going to do it first, and we'll figure out how to deal with it later. Ridiculous. And it's also not the philosophy that everybody's taking, just the US. Let's talk about how China's doing it. Let's look at this.
In a race just to have technological advantage. We're in a race for who can better govern that technology's impact on society. So, for example, the United States beat China to social media. That technology. Did that make us stronger? Or did that make us weaker? We have the most anxious and depressed generation of our lifetime. We have the least informed and most polarized generation. We have the worst critical thinking. We have the worst ability to concentrate and do things. And that's because we did not govern the impact of that technology well. And the country that actually figures out how to govern it well is the country that actually wins in a kind of comprehensive sense.
But then you have to make it first. You have to get to AGI first.
Well, or you don't. We could, instead of building these super intelligent gods in a box, right now China, as I understand it from Eric Schmidt and Selena Xu in the New York Times, wrote a piece about how China is actually taking a very different approach to AI. And they're focused on narrow, practical applications of AI. So like, how do we just increase government services? How do we make education better? How do we embed DeepSeek in the WeChat app? How do we make robotics better and pump GDP? So like what China's doing with BYD and making the cheapest electric cars and outcompeting everybody else, that's narrowly applying AI to just pump manufacturing output. And if we realize that if we're, instead of competing to build a super intelligent, uncontrollable God in a box that we don't know how to control in the box, and we instead raced to create narrow AIs that were actually about making stronger educational outcomes, stronger agriculture output, stronger manufacturing output, we could live in a sustainable world, which, by the way, wouldn't replace all the jobs faster than we know how to retrain people. Because when we race to AGI, you're racing to displace millions of workers. And we talk about UBI, but are we going to have a global fund for every single person of the 8 billion people on planet Earth in all countries to pay for their lifestyle?
For you guys who don't know, AGI is artificial general intelligence. That's where basically AI stops becoming a large language model. And by large language model, it means it's scraping the internet and pulling up all the texts and conversations and all the written word and videos that it's ever seen, that have ever been uploaded, and then basically making new basically conversations or giving you information based off that. AGI is where it takes all that, but it actually also thinks for itself. Basically, it's generating its own intelligence, right? The scary thing is when it moves from when it has access to everything, that's the LLM, to AGI thinking on its own, to self-replicating, where it's able to duplicate itself. That's when it becomes scary. right? But to the point, and he also mentioned UBI, Universal Basic Income. That's this myth that a lot of these tech people are pushing, that once we reach this utopia of AI and AI-driven economies, where people will no longer need to work, then the universal basic income, which is everyone that receives a monthly stipend of what they need to survive because they don't need to work anymore. Well, who pays that? Well, it's not going to be the government. It's going to have to be the companies that are getting rich from AI because people won't be able to buy what they produce. All right. That sounds good on paper, except for the thing that there's no incentive not to keep raising the prices of those things. There's no checks and balances. The power will clearly be with the companies and not the government. And regular people like you and me, since we're not working or producing anything, now they determine who gets money, who has value. You immediately have your value as a human being attached with a dollar amount that's not determined by a government whose sole purpose is to create a functioning society. It's determined by a company or corporation that produces a product and then determines if the people that it is basically giving welfare to in order to buy said product is worth keeping around. And that's crazy, but that's what UBI is. Doesn't make sense because people really need to think, who pays for that UBI? Anyway, that's universal basic income. And the whole point that Tristan is making here, excuse me, y'all, the whole point he's making here is that there is a different way to approach it. Like, we don't have to do the AGI race that America's doing right now. And I'm not rah-rah China. I'm just saying the other way to approach it is as a supplement to society, right? Not a replacement. But anyway, let's hear him out. Let's finish it up.
After that wealth gets concentrated, when has a small group of people concentrated all the wealth in the economy and never consciously redistributed it to everybody else? When has that happened in history?
Never.
Never. Has it ever happened? Anyone ever just willingly redistributed the wealth?
Not that I'm
There
aware
is
of.
no such thing as trickle down. Never.
When Elon Musk says that the Optimus Prime robot is a $1 trillion market opportunity alone, what he means is, I am going to own the global labor economy, meaning that people won't have labor jobs.
China wants to become the global leader in artificial intelligence by 2030. To achieve this goal, Beijing is deploying industrial policy tools across the full AI technology stack, from chips to applications.
All right,
this expansion of AI.
All right, so you guys get it. So listen, stay up, stay smart, stay abreast of this stuff. You need to know what AI is. Is it a threat? Is it scary sci-fi stuff? No. But knowing this information, knowing how it can be used, knowing how businesses are thinking about AI, basically cost saving, making money. Is AI perfect? No. It's going to make mistakes, but businesses are willing to plow through that, deal with the mistakes, even if it's costly in the front end, if it means even in the midterm, saving them billions of dollars, cutting off millions of people, because that's just trimming fat to them. Is it right? Are we talking about morality? No, it's not right. They don't care. But the question is, should they? More importantly, what are you going to do when the world changes as it's changing right now? Are you going to be complacent and just hope for some administration to come in and affect change? Are you going to wait for AI to replace your job? Or are you going to find a way to take advantage of AI, remove your dependency from corporations, and find a way to become a self-enterprise, something that perhaps deals with a local economy, people that you interact with face to face. Whatever your product, service, or ability is to sell or do, whatever your thing is, how do you personally connect with an audience and sell that product in order to survive? That's it. Shola's out. Ask Shola for the next topic. Peace.